I'm back, y'all, and welcome to another video. Same game, different faces. That's the truth. And in this video, I'm going to be giving examples of that in hopes to broaden your horizons. Therefore, you can position yourself properly in life and don't get caught up in all the hype. From the street level, sports, politics, society as a whole, it's the same script, just different faces. And it's important that you understand this, y'all, so you won't just be like a cog in a wheel, just going along with the flow and end up on the wrong side of history, not even knowing it. And I'm going to explain further. And again, like I said, it's the same game, different faces. Another example, I used to always say this: you can get a time machine, go back 1,000 years ago, or even go 1,000 years in the future, and there's going to be war, there's going to be poverty, there's going to be disease, there's going to be hunger, all the same ill symptoms of society that we got now, we had back then, and we probably going to continue to have if things continue the way they're going. So I want to make a few points outlining this, and it's a method to the madness, so just bear with me. It's a newspaper article from comments made by people in the year 1957. And when you read the comments they making, it's pretty much they addressing the same, like I said, the same issues we got now. And it's funny because this shows a few things. So just follow me. Now look at this. See, it's a few comments. I'm not gonna read it all, but let me just pick one. I tell you one thing: if things keep going the way they are, it's going to be impossible to buy a week's groceries for $20. $20. Let me choose another comment. If cigarettes keep going up in price, I'm going to quit. A quarter a pack is ridiculous. So y'all see where I'm going with this? If they think I'll pay 50 cents for a haircut, forget it. Here go another one. Thank goodness I won't live to see the day when the government takes half our income taxes. Sometimes I wonder if we are electing the best people to Congress. There is no sense going to Lincoln or Omaha because the price of a hotel costs nearly $15 a night. And one more. No one can afford to be sick anymore. $35 a day in a hospital is too rich for my blood. See, y'all? You see what they talking about? They talking about the same shit that the same people are talking about today when you think about it. Prices rising, politics, the same BS. But what's funny that I thought about is, okay, prices is rising, and this is what I want to kind of get into again on this video. With all being said, just real quick, prices is rising and they gonna keep rising. But have you ever thought of, just like in that article, that's in 1957, so let's just say a Denny's Grand Slam costs like 25 cents or even $1. And nowadays, I don't know, $10, $12, I don't know. Now, wouldn't you think that due to technology and progress, it would be easier and cheaper to get it to me on a table now than back then? It should be cheaper. And I don't want to hear the spiel about, well, the demand. Trust me, the technology and everything enables to get some steak, eggs, and taters on my plate faster than they was able to in 1957. Trust me. And that's just one example. And this is where another thing I want to say, and I may have mentioned it later, but I'll mention it now real quick. This is important nowadays, especially for the layman, the average young brother out there, is to start really getting hip as far as politics and finance in particular. Because, for one, the world is changing. Now, everything is being forced digitally. So, they're about to take away with the paper money, and ain't gonna be too much under the table plays. It'll be a few, but not too many. And a good example, about this whole inflation, because that's the reason why they say prices rise. But it's not that; it's just corporate greed, if you ask me. But anyway, y'all, just a real quick example about inflation, because I'm gonna get into this a little later in this video though. But inflation, examples, inflation, I may have mentioned this before, is that basically you got $100, you put it in your mattress. Now, a year from now, it's still $100, but the buying power may only be $92 or whatnot, due to what they call the prime interest rate. So when you listening on TV and they talking about inflation and the interest rate and deficit and all that, because it's simply, well, really the money ain't worth nothing anyway, but that's a different video. But really, I'm saying that to say, start thinking, start getting on board. Not even necessarily, no, don't scratch that. Ain't no getting on board, but really understand how the world works, and understand what I was saying as far as being the same game, different faces. It's the same script that they run on society every few generations. Even in Hollywood, we already know, man. You know how they switching up the movies, doing all these remakes and just changing it to conform or whatever societal agenda they want to push. You know, that's crazy. This is another thing. Y'all let me know. I never really peeped this, because I never really heard the song. But you know, the little artist, Sexy Red or whatnot. Of course, I heard her or whatever, but I never really heard her music. And she got that one song, Pound Town. Now, I heard the song before. I didn't even know it was her. I thought it was the other one or whatever. But anyway, I just happened to be scrolling, and I happened to see the old school song named by a group, the Red Sisters. So it's kind of like, damn, she the same artist. It's not to take away from her, you know. I understand music, art, samples, and all that. But I'm wondering, is she related to one of them? Then it'll make sense. Or is it, in a way, to some extent, like I was saying, Hollywood is running the same script. You think it's brand new because you wasn't alive back then, and you really getting fed the same stuff. They just changing the faces. That's basically what I'm saying. And it's ways to combat that, but you got to really understand the direction it's going as far as society wise. And that's what I was saying. That's why I read that article about the whole 1957. So when you hear certain politics, don't get me wrong, you know, you keep your ear plugged in, but a lot of it is going to be BS. A lot of it is going to be the typical propaganda garbage. Like I said, it's protesting wars, because for one, the higher ups, the powers that be, is they running that same script because it's for a bigger agenda, which is another video. But what I'm saying, really primarily, this video is to get you to understand and to act on it, respond to it, so to speak. And again, let me get into more about this whole economic status, because that's going to be important. Because like I was saying, everything is digitally, electronically, so it ain't gonna be no too many under the table transactions. And I may have mentioned this before about certain companies not accepting paper dollars no more. So you already see the direction is moving. And I ain't even talking about illegal activities. Like I said, just to help a lady move her sofa, she may want to pay you $50, but she don't really know the technology. She can't even hand you no 50 or no 20 or anything. The old lemonade stand or whatever. So basically, everybody is being forced to Cash App, Zelle, all electronic. So anybody that don't adjust to that is going to they kind of naturally, society gonna phase you out, and eventually you're gonna end up in one of them tents. And that's another thing I want to speak about, as far as you getting your money, especially if it's under the table, being the fact that even when you try to purchase something, especially moving to a little house, rent something, they want to see money on paper. And that's another reason why the 9 to 5s can come in handy, and any legitimate business can come in handy. Because for one, and this is for the average street guy, a job at 9 to 5 gonna take the cheat off you. And I said that again, therefore you ain't gotta be out in the streets all day in desperado mode taking all them risks, because you already know where you're gonna end up eventually, and all that's part of the script. So slowly but surely, this the thing. People got a tendency, especially now in this move fast microwave society, they don't. If it don't happen quick, just then they won't see it. If it don't happen, you won't see it. But slowly but surely, what's the other saying? The frogs in boiling water, they didn't feel the heat until they were cooked. And the nature of this video, this ain't even no rabbit hole conspiracy. I just kind of want to reiterate that the game is the same, different faces. And even, like I said, on all levels, even in the individual or amongst your peers, I come across people all the time. I met you before, right? I ain't never seen them, but I met them before. As soon as they start talking, I didn't know everything about them, just by little bits of demeanor and information. And I ain't talking about no shapeshifters or no poker face. You just come across people all the time, and I met you before, for better or for worse. And that's another thing I mentioned, as far as on being on the right side of history. It's kind of like when I said you go back 1,000 years ago, maybe, or whatever, even Bible times or whatnot, and you hear stories of where, I don't know, even where God punished a city or a group of people or something that was going on, and it's usually a large group of people, if you notice it. And don't get me wrong, we got stories of certain individuals being punished, but it's usually, when they talk about that, it's like a large group of people, miscellaneous people, and you just kind of one of the idiot, one of the sheep. So don't be one of the sheep in society, kind of like playing a certain script, and you may not even know it or not. And it's one thing if you handling your business and doing something positive, but I mean, as far as just the same societal script, kind of like you just come fresh off the assembly line of society, although we all born into this. But again, I'm just trying to get you to understand things and then make a proper adjustment, basically. And you need to, whether you like it or not, because you got a lot of people, man, in 20 years, they know they may not be around, so they ain't tripping. So again, this is for the new blood out there. Teach your kids to start understanding, picking up key words. Again, like I said, because a lot of the news is going to be garbage. But again, you got to have that filter developed, so you be able to know, like, okay, 10% of that is good, 80% of that is bull, 30% or whatever. And you'll be able to interpret it to your kids. You got to tell them, don't keep no secrets, man. If you don't know, say you don't know. And hell, we got phones. Hey, let's find out together what this word means, or whatever it is. I don't care. But it ain't no way around it, bruh. It's so society, them peoples, whoever you want to call it, gonna do what they gonna do. So it's time for you to do what you gonna do. And I'm speaking to myself too. I tell myself this every day. I for sure ain't perfect. Again, like I say, man, I'm traveling the same road as y'all. I ain't at the finish line yelling and shucking and pointing, telling people what they need to do. I'm going down the road. So, but again, it's key and it's important. And I'm gonna do another video teaching financial literacy, just so people can have a basic understanding on what's going on financially, especially the crypto, all that. It's time to start really listening to that, because again, I mentioned how the dollar is going down, been going down, it's scheduled to going down. So that's another reason why the prices rise, because they just devaluing the dollar. It's kind of like, for my street guys, they just stepping on the dope. So it's getting less and less, and eventually, we all already do now. And I mentioned this before. We already got different types of money. You ain't gotta just pay in dollars. You can pay in Bitcoin, this, that. So these are the things you need to start thinking about, because the days of how we was living, right now, it ain't, you ain't gonna make it for the most part, whether directly or indirectly. They got it down to a pact where they ain't gotta come to your door and force you out on the street. They just go constrict certain laws and regulations to where you ain't got no choice. It's just suddenly, and or you do got a whole bunch of cash, but now you can barely parlay your cash, and when you do, you about to get pennies on the dollar. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned for that. That's already happening now in all facets. But again, like I said, man, the next, I'm just going on and on. I ain't trying to take you down no rabbit hole. It's really to get you to understand it's the same as it ever was. And it's the same as it gonna be if things continue. And don't, I mean, like I said, man, people are stupid. So there's gonna be, unfortunately, people that, I ain't even gonna say I ain't gonna make it, just that people that won't be. It's some people just gonna be sheep. So for those who listen to this video, you need not to be no sheep. You need to understand what's going on, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it. Understand the direction this world is heading, and don't just lead you and your family into the meat grinder blindly, because they definitely gonna have one. A societal meat grinder is already in place, and they ain't giving a damn about who you is. So again, man, this is just me letting y'all know, man. Brand News Brown breaking this shit down real quick for y'all, man. Go ahead and hit that like or dislike it. Please subscribe. Again, man, same game, different faces, man. So make sure you one of them right faces. Peace.